DMM Armageddon is bringing along cosmetics this year. And if you are much like myself, you are a slave to earning every last one. But DMM is a PKing game mode, I hear you saying. Well, yes, but there are some no risk and low risk activities you can do to earn yourself some points in this Deadman mode season. So let's get into it. Now, before jumping into the activities, I do want to talk a little bit about how to earn points. Basically, everything is going to give you points. Skilling gives 10 points a level. So every 99 is basically a free 1,000 points there. You're going to get 25 Deadman mode points per quest point, and this includes any of the free quests that you unlock because they still give you quest points. So keep that in mind. That can be some nice quick points if you're in a pinch. Clue scrolls, achievement diaries, combat achievements, bosses, all of these things are gonna give you points. And of course, there are gonna be the Deadman mode special breaches that happen at specific times a day, and you're gonna be able to earn points by just going there and dealing some damage. Now, for all of the safe or low risk activities, here is a map of all of the different safe zones. Green means it is a protected zone. You'll see this little protection icon here if you're in a safe zone. What this means is nobody can attack you. Guards are gonna be there to just wreck anybody who is skulled. Red on this map is multi-combat. So this is, again, you just have to be careful not to get jumped by a clan. So if you're having to travel through multi, no choice, just plan accordingly. All of that out of the way, let's start with Lumbridge since I'm here. Of course, early on, you can pickpocket men for some easy thieving experience. But I think the primary thing that people tend to do in Lumbridge, because it's a safe zone, is use these two willow trees here. There are going to be a lot of low-level trees just kind of hanging around, some oaks, some normal trees, and of course the willow trees. So this is a good way to get your wood cutting up to 99. Plus, if you combine it with a couple of sigils, you can even get a ton of logs for like 99 fletching and 99 fire making pretty easily. This is definitely a place where I've spent some time in Deadman mode whenever I need to AFK. Moving on to Varrock. Of course, there's going to be a lot of shops here that you can take advantage of, but beyond the early game, there's not a whole lot going on with the shops, so you're probably not going to spend a whole lot of time here. But what you can spend a lot of time doing is splashing the guards that are over here next to the palace. There's a couple of them that you can actually drag out and they get stuck behind this bush. You can splash the guard here. Great AFK. Great way to 99 magic. And pro tip, directly after the breaches, people are going to be dumping all kinds of supplies, and ruins are often dropped at those breaches, so you can pick up some really cheap wrath ruins, and you can splash surge spells here. And it gives a lot of XP. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a lot. I think it was close to 1 mil an hour in splashing. Like, it's a great way to train your magic, especially if you don't want any HP XP. And there is a tree patch here. Now, while high-level trees in safe zones tend to be automatically chopped down so you can't use them, if you plant trees yourself once you get higher-level farming, this can be a good source of just high-level logs without having to go anywhere. So you can plant like a magic tree in here or a yew tree in here, and you can just chop logs in the safe zone. Now, in terms of some low-risk activities in the area, I really like the yew trees that are out here. Much lower traffic in terms of people walking around. So this is one of my go-to places if I want to chop some yew logs. Maybe I just died and I need to like rebuild, get 100K. Great place to chop yew logs. And because you're pretty close to a safe zone, you're not really going to die unless you're AFK. I never recommend being AFK when you're when you're outside of one of the safe zones, but like, I mean, hey, to each their own. And of course, another low risk activity would be the agility course that is here in Varrock. It's going to require 30 agility, and something you'll notice, it's not a safe zone on the roofs. That's going to be true for any of the rooftop courses. So sometimes you will get some people who they think they can go for you. Make sure that you bring some food, probably bring a little bit of armor, some like dehyde if you can to prevent people from binding you or freezing you or whatever. Ooh, hey, 50 agility. Turn this into a progress video. This part especially, be really careful. It's very big, so they can stand out in that corner and they won't render for you. So it can be a little bit of a surprise. Next up on the list is gonna be Falador. Now, of course, you've got the guard spot here, which is great if you've got a cannon, you've got some cannonballs. You can train your range up without having to get HP XP. Plus, good for medium clues. There are some sigils that are going to boost those clue rates, so if you're a clue hunter, get familiar with it. You're going to be here probably. It also has probably the most accessible furnace in a safe zone. It's definitely not the best in terms of being close to a bank, but there's not a lot of furnaces in a safe zone. So you can use this to maybe like AFK some cannonballs if you want to have something going on the side. Cannonballs are still going to be worth good money because people are going to want to train their range without training their HP. Now, keep in mind the quest in order to get a cannon and the ability to make cannonballs is not going to be safe. So that might be an activity that you put a little asterisk next to and you do when you have some protection. On the low risk side, you've got the giant mole in Falador Park. This one I absolutely loved in the last Deadman mode season. I ended up getting rank 3 in terms of kills, which was wild. Almost 300 mole kills. Now, while points for bosses are now going to cap basically at 75 kills, it is still a relatively safe boss. With the winding nature of the underground area and the fact that there's only the one entrance, people have a pretty hard time running up to you. And if you're super worried about people maybe like logging in and jumping you, you can always safe spot the mole on some of the walls. That way you can just teleport out the second you see somebody. So this is a really great low-risk boss if you just need some points. Falador also has an agility course, and hey, look at that, I just got 50, which is the required agility level in order to come up here. Again, like I mentioned, all of the rooftop courses have the same problem. None of them are safe, so you just have to be a little careful. Do bring food, do bring some armor, just so you don't get wrecked by that one guy who's like trolling up on the rooftops. It happens. And it really sucks, so just bring food and you'll be fine. And I would be remiss if I did not at least mention the Mining Guild and Motherlode Mine here in Falador. Since it is not protected down there, and it is typically really good money, there are quite a few people who are going to be down there and they're going to try to get you. So you do have to be careful if you're going to go mining down there, but you are so close to the safe zone. I think I spent multiple hours down there at a time and I never died myself. I was definitely able to snipe people who didn't have food. So like anytime you are not in a safe zone, bring a decent setup and you'll be okay. It's going to take you 60 mining to get into the mining guild, so just remember that one. But otherwise, no other requirements you have to deal with. Moving on to Rellekka. Now, there's not a whole lot happening up here. You can steal from the fish in the first stalls here for some thieving XP, though there are going to be better options. There is also the rooftop agility course up here, which is 80 agility. Can't show you, but again, remember, not safe up there, so definitely bring some food just in case there's some cheeky people hanging out. Another area that I want to shout out while I'm here is the Jatizo City and Mine. Now, this is actually a pretty good mine. You can see 15 mithril, 11 adamant. This is typically a really low traffic area, and especially if you get access to it in bracket 1. The choice of completing the Fremnik quest doesn't come until bracket 2, so if you just kind of grind through, do the Fremnik trials in bracket 1, you can come up here, and this is a really strong mine to have access to, because there's just going to be basically no people. And again, the mine itself is not safe, but the city is, so just make sure you bring some food. You're going to hear me say it a lot. You better be bringing some food, man. You want to stay alive and dead, man? Bring some food. Next up, we have got East Ardougne. And only the east side, the west side of Ardougne is not safe. So you want to be really careful if you end up doing quests that bring you over here, because you can get PK'd, and I've definitely been jumped on this side. But if you are waiting for thieving, East Ardougne is definitely the place for you. You've got men running around, you've got guards, you've got heroes, you've got paladins, and of course the Ardy Knights, which are going to be really good XP. Plus some of the stalls, I mean, man, really, there's so many thieving options while you are here. Plus there is going to be a sigil, I think it's called the Sigil of Deceit. It's going to be tier 1. That is going to let you pickpocket a little bit more AFK, so that might be a good one to pick up if you're going to be here training your thieving up. And of course, in the low risk category, Ardougne has the highest rooftop agility course, 90 agility if you want to come here and train. Again, not safe, so you just have to make sure you bring some food. But yeah, if you're going for 99, you're definitely going to end up here at some point. Also, quick little shout out for this mine that is just a little bit east of Ardougne. It's got lots of iron rocks. So if you're looking to power mine and you don't want to go into the mining guild because there's just too many people, I found this mine here was pretty decent, especially if you have the sigils that let you like automatically smith and bank all of your ores, because it's just most people are not walking this road here. There's really very few times where people are coming through. Alrighty, next up on the list is gonna be the Gnome Stronghold. Now, for how big this place is, there's actually not all that much you can do. You do have access to a tree patch here. So again, if you want some high level logs, you can plant like a yew or a magic tree in here, and you can give yourself some AFK high level log woodcutting experience. But one of my favorite AFK activities from the last season was actually the fly fishing spots that are out here. This is great for fishing XP as well as cooking XP if you can get yourself the sigil of the Infernal Chef. So you can just sit out here. There's a couple of spots that move around, completely safe on both sides of this thing. So again, another free 99 that you can pick up for an extra 1,000 points, 2,000 if you're gonna include cooking. Jumping a little bit back to woodcutting, there's also these willow trees here, so if you don't want to go to Lumbridge, you can come out here. Plenty of trees around that you can cut. One other thing that I would call out in the Gnome Stronghold is Neve's Slayer Cave. It is not safe in the cave itself, but you're pretty close to the safe zone, so most of the time if you're doing a task in here, you're pretty safe. And while you can't 100% choose your tasks, there is a sigil that's going to let you choose your task for a certain amount of Slayer points, so you can choose tasks that are in here most of your Slayer grind, so that's another one that'll be pretty easy to train, especially once you get the Slayer level to kill some of the stuff in here. Moving on to a bit of a spooky one, we are going out to Port Phasmatys. Be a little careful when you come out here. The dock is not safe, but the rest of the city is protected. Now, Port Phasmatys has the best furnace in a safe zone. So if you need to do any sort of smithing and you're going to be running back and forth a lot, this is the place to do it. And while you're here, this is also probably the best place to buy buckets of sand and soda ash if you want to do crafting. Again, since the charter ship and the dock itself isn't safe, you do have to be a little bit careful. It is still pretty close to a safe zone. And because buckets of sand and soda ash are so cheap, this can be a good way to just get some early crafting levels, so that way you can make like teleportation jewelry and stuff. Even if you're just using your starter cash, if you're not going to be swapping that away, you can come out here and just buy some early sand and soda ash. There is no requirement to make molten glass, so you can do this straight from level 1 and get some really cheap, really quick XP. And I mean, you can use the furnace out here to turn the buckets of sand and soda ash into molten glass. So great little combo out here. The next stop on our list is going to be the Warriors Guild. Not only are you going to be coming here for a defender, which is pretty much the best melee offhand you can get, but because the entire thing is a safe zone, it actually means that the Cyclopses in the basement are super good training XP, and they drop alkables as well, so they can even be pretty decent money. If you pick up a corrupted scythe, you can get upwards of like 1 mil XP an hour in all of your melee stats. So definitely make sure to come here if you want to AFK some melee training, because man, let me tell you, it is quick. Just be a little bit careful if you're going to use a games necklace teleport. The area out here in Berthorpe is not safe. So there are definitely some people who will camp this spot. Just be aware of that. Don't teleport here naked. Bring your full setup, bring all your food, man. Just don't die to the guy who's going to be camping this teleport. As soon as you get through the door though, it is safe, and then you're on to melee XP heaven, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Also, as an additional pro tip, if you get the chance, you can unlock the Bone Crusher from the Mauritania Hard Diary or the Elite Diary. And then when you're killing these, you can get some pretty decent prayer XP as well. So if you've got that in your path, definitely pick it up before you come spend a bunch of time here. You'll get up into the like 80 range for your prayer just by training all your melee stats up. That is all I've got for you in terms of the safe zones and content around there, but I do want to also give a couple of general tips to help lower your risk as you're doing other activities in Deadman mode. There are 5 combat brackets, so obviously being at the top of those combat brackets is going to make you a little bit safer, a little bit beefier, harder to kill, but as you move through the brackets, you're going to get free quest unlocks, a free choice of different quest lines that you can also unlock on top of that, plus you're going to get an hour of protection. So make sure as you're moving up those brackets that you are planning for either some big quests or maybe some high XP activities that would otherwise be really dangerous during those hours. Think something like chinning in the Monkey Madness tunnels. You can use that hour protection to really take full advantage of anything in the game besides multi-breaches. You're not going to be allowed to go to those. So that's the only thing off the table. Everything else is fair game. Always, always, always bring freezes and some type of escape that you can use. Ideally, you want to do something that's like a unique area-specific escape. Rune crafting altars are a great example of this. You can bring like an earth talisman, for example. So if you get caught out here near the lumberyard, you can dip into the altar. And if the person trying to get you doesn't have a talisman, you can just have a free escape right there. You're out. You're safe. Plus with freezes, if you can land a freeze on somebody, you can walk under them, and if you're not skulled, you can teleport into a safe zone, or you can log out if you need to. Both of those things are tremendously helpful when you're trying to get away. Now, if you're wanting to train outside of safe zones, try to find areas that are behind some sort of like skill or quest requirement that most people won't have in that combat bracket. So I mentioned this earlier with the Chatizo mine. If you're in bracket 1, you have to go through the Fremnik trials and start the Fremnik Isles quest in order to even get access to that island. So it can make it a much safer place in the first bracket. Another example of this is what Solo Mission did in the last season, where he got an early fire cape in like bracket 1 or bracket 2 and used that to get into the inner Tazar city for access to Runite rocks. Additionally, there are a lot of powerful sigils in the game that can allow you to sit in the far reaches of Gielinor without banking, or let you take on challenging content at lower levels than you otherwise should be able to. This can do wonders for lowering your risk when you're going for points. If you want to see those combos, I recommend clicking this video here. Stay safe out there, DMM friends, and I will see you there.